On the 21st April of 2025, the Chinese Table Tennis Association announced their lineup of players who will be participating in the World Championships next month in Doha. The 5 players on the men's side who would be competing are Lin Shidong, Wang Chuqin, Liang Jingkun, Lin Gaoyuan, and Xue Fei. Notably, Ma Long and Fan Zhendong are once again out of the picture, making it the first World Championships in the Ma Long-Fan Zhendong era without either of them in the lineup, a true end of an era moment. This shouldn't be a surprise, as when Fan Zhendong and Ma Long announced their withdrawal from the world rankings, it should be pretty obvious that they probably aren't going to return to the international stage anymore. But still, many fans were actually quite disappointed that Ma Long and Fan Zhendong are absent and continue to hold on to the narrative that they are being pressured to stay out of the way to make way for younger players. There was, however, a moment of hope where Ma Long and Fan Zhendong could return. According to CTTA's own selection criteria, Olympic champions from Paris 2024 were supposed to receive automatic qualification for the World Championships. These meant Ma Long, Fan Zhendong, and Chen Meng are all eligible, but Ma Long, Fan Zhendong, and Chen Meng voluntarily decided that they do not want to participate. Some fans remain skeptical and believe they were purposely excluded, but personally, I don't think that is the case. If CTTA really had an agenda to keep them out, why would they even announce the automatic slot for Olympic champions in the first place? Even men's coach Wang Hao expressed publicly that he hoped Ma Long and Fan Zhendong would continue playing, saying that they were still in top form. So why did they refuse? I believe it's a combination of self-awareness and respect for the team's future. Since leaving the world rankings, there has been little indication that they are still part of the national training system. Without the same intensive preparation, they felt likely that they couldn't perform at their peak. It's smart to step back if you think you can't compete at the highest level, and maybe they truly believe the future lies in letting the next generation take over. And also recently, it has just been announced that Ma Long will take on the vice president role of CTTA, which is even more evident in the fact that he will not be returning to international table tennis anymore. Of course, this is just a speculation, but one thing is clear, their decision is final, and no matter what fans choose to believe, the chapter is closed, at least for now. I think what's more interesting to discuss is what would be the outcome for the upcoming World Championships in Doha. Will China still dominate like they always do without Ma Long and Fan Zhendong, or will we finally see other nations claiming the title? It has already been a proven fact that the current Chinese table tennis lineup without Ma Long and Fan Zhendong are very much weaker. They are losing much more to foreigners and are missing out on a lot of titles, as evident from the Asian Championships where Wang Chuqin lost to Jun Song, Liang Jingkun losing to Naushad Alamian, and Lin Shidong losing to Tomokazu Harimoto in the final, missing out on the title to be grabbed by a Chinese. As well as the World Cup we witnessed last week, once again where the 2 best Chinese players who are also ranked 1 and 2 in the world failed to secure the cup for China. So there is really no telling whether or not the upcoming World Championships would eventually be won by a Chinese player. If they fail again in Doha, that would mark the first time in history that China flopped in back-to-back major tournaments. Yes, there has been a couple of times where China has lost major tournaments like the 2017 Asian Championships, where 17-year-old Miu Hirano claimed the title by defeating the top 3 Chinese players at that time, Ding Ning, Zhu Yuling, and Chen Meng. Or the Men's World Cup in 2017 where Ulcharov won and both Ma Long and Lin Gaoyuan failed. But there hasn't been a case of China making consecutive losses in major tournaments. They always bounce back. If it really happens this time around, not only will it be a historical consecutive flop for China, but it would be a much longer streak broken as compared to the World Cup, since the last non-Chinese world champion was Werner Schlager back in 2003, a 22 years world championship broken as compared to an 8-year streak at the World Cup. Coming back, I think what's interesting to discuss is whether the current Chinese men's team are really that terrible. Well, I honestly don't think so, because as weak as they are accused to be, both Wang Chuqin and Lin Shidong has proven that they are really good successors to Ma Long and Fan Zhendong, rising to the occasion in reaching world number 1 rankings and beat their predecessors Fan Zhendong and Ma Long multiple times. And about Wang Chuqin, he is honestly, in my opinion, the most potential successor of Ma Long and Fan Zhendong. The talk about Chinese depletion has been ongoing for years, and China struggled to find the next Ma Long and Fan Zhendong. The first player who tried was Lin Gaoyuan. When he first came out around 2017 at the age of 22-23, he showed signs that he was a capable successor. He has honestly had one of the best techniques I've seen and lightning fast speed, defeating Ma Long and Fan Zhendong on multiple occasions in Chinese internal competitions, as well as coming out of nowhere and defeating everyone, earning his nickname, the Dark Knight. However, his weakness very quickly started to float to the surface after that. The World Championships and World Cup in 2017 exposed his weak mentality. In the World Championship 2017 against Xue Fei, it was a 7 and deciding game, and Lin Gaoyuan had 5 match points at 10-5, but he let Xue Fei win 7 points in a row to steal the match. Even more bizarre in the World Cup, when he had 6 match points, up 10-4 against Timo Boll, but failed to take the win. It's really at that point where he was then known as the king of choke and bad against foreigners. He did however stabilize a bit in 2019 and reached his highest world ranking of world number 2, but that didn't last very long either. His old problems eventually came back, and today close to the age of 30, still doesn't quite have major titles to his name, nor has he successfully proven himself as a top Chinese player. The next player who tried was Liang Jingkun, and it was honestly kind of similar situation. Great player, beat Fan Zhendong multiple times, has shown decent stability against foreigners and reached his highest rank of world number 3, but still didn't quite make it. At the end of the day, he still loses more often than winning to his predecessors like Ma Long and Fan Zhendong, as well as losing a lot to foreigners. It was Wang Chuqin who finally gave China a glimmer of hope. From 2019 to 2022, he went 3 years without losing to a foreigner. Whether or not he beat his teammates, he always got the job done against the rest of the world. One of the few players with a winning record over Ma Long, and beats Fan Zhendong more often than most. He's also the only one among the 3 successors to reach the world number 1 status and won multiple titles. And following his success, Lin Shidong also made it to the world number 1. But it's still not enough to match Ma Long or Fan Zhendong. And maybe that's an unfair comparison. Those two reached the absolute peak of table tennis. It's not something anyone can replace overnight. I think the biggest problem with the new generation isn't their skills, but their mental toughness. Obviously, the new gen right now has crazy skills. Just look at Lin Shidong's insane backhand and his away from the table counter-attacking game, or Wang Chuqin's incredible third ball attacks and tactical genius. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to mentality. For Lin Shidong, it's kinda understandable. He's still very young and hasn't played enough major tournaments to develop real mental strength. But for Wang Chuqin, he has already been trusted to play in so many big events. I'm honestly guilty of this myself because I've made videos in the past talking about how strong Wang Chuqin mentality is. I've seen him make big comebacks from 3-7 or 3-8 down to take the set. I've seen him completely annihilate foreigners when he was the only Chinese left in his bracket or even in the whole tournament. But looking back, it feels almost too good to be true. I think the reason Wang Chuqin played so well back then was because he had a different mentality as compared to now. I believe the shift in mentality lies in the role that Wang Chuqin believes he is now taking. Previously, Wang Chuqin was a young and growing player. His main goal was to prove himself to the coaches, to his predecessors, to the fans, to show that he's capable and worthy of getting more opportunities, and he's hungry for it. Back then, he wasn't really seen as China's top player. Honestly, he wasn't the one people expected to win and secure medals. He was just seen as a very promising, capable player. The spotlight was still mostly on Ma Long and Fan Zhendong. On top of that, during his development phase, Ma Long and Fan Zhendong were still around, knowing that if something went wrong, if he lost his match, Ma Long and Fan Zhendong would still be there to back him up. So in a way, he could play with more confidence and less pressure. But now, Fan Zhendong and Ma Long are gone, and Wang Chuqin has already reached his goal of becoming China's most trusted men's singles player. The question is he ready to take on that responsibility? At the moment, it does seem like he's not quite ready. He already flopped in multiple major tournaments like the Olympics and 2 consecutive World Cups, and he is still missing of the 3 titles required to become a Grand Slam. Currently, he no longer has the mental support of a team with Ma Long and Fan Zhendong leading the way. Now, the entire team looks to him as the leader. Wang Chuqin is supposed to take on the role that Ma Long and Fan Zhendong once held. Players like Lin Shidong and Liang Jingkun may look up to him for mental strength and stability. Obviously, the stakes are much higher now. There's pressure to win and not to lose. There's a bigger responsibility on his shoulders. Maybe that's the reason why he's starting to lose a lot more to foreigners? I don't know. Ultimately, whether he can fulfill his duty and whether or not he truly believes himself to become the next Grand Slam, this World Championships will be the real test. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to this upcoming World Championships because I think it will be the most unpredictable one we have seen in a long time. There's no clear dominant player based on the past few months. Anyone can win or lose on any given day. Unlike before, when people were already predicting the winners even before the tournament began. Is it going to be Ma Long or Fan Zhendong? As if the final was already set and the only question was who would come out on top. Now, even I can't confidently say a Chinese player would be in the final, let alone win the whole thing. But no matter who wins, one thing is guaranteed: excitement. If a non-Chinese player wins, it would be a historical moment. A 2-decade streak finally be broken, with Werner Glager being the last non-Chinese world champion. If China wins again, it will be a new phase, no longer Ma Long or Fan Zhendong anymore. Either way, it will be a breath of fresh air. Now, I leave it to you. How excited are you guys for the ITTF World Championships Finals 2025 happening in Doha next month? Do you think the Chinese will continue to dominate, or will the title finally fall into the hands of a foreigner? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.